just the long railroad you're talking?
Yeah.
Lessons here or there. So, I'm trying to want to keep the back 40 front, but yet slow the front 40 or whatever. Yeah, that's the project.
Over at 8:30. You ready to go? TV ready? You ready, Rick? Okay. All right. Well, it is 8:30 on Wednesday, July 6th, and I will call the regular Environment and Land Use Committee meeting to order. Roll call of committee members. I don't know how we do that. It's been a month. I can't remember anything anymore.
I think you start.
Well, Kellen Nelson, District 14 and Chair of the ELU Committee.
Randy Severson, Livestock Member Producer.
Stacy Klein, District Number 2.
Dave Larson, District 15.
Tony Munson, Towns Association Rep.
Andy Todd, District Number 5.
Verge Gamroth, Department of Land Management.
Mike Kornman, Director of Land Management.
All right, thank you all. Next, I will certify that open meeting law requirements have been met with proper posting. We have a 14-item agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion to adopt, made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have our adopting of minutes we all received from our June 1st regular meeting. Any corrections or additions to that? Seeing none. Look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion. Okay, made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. Motion carried. And next, we will call our public hearing to order at 8:30 a.m. For the land use change rezone from exclusive Ag 2 EA2 to residential 8 for Curtis D. and Charlotte D. Beck, landowner petitioner, Blair, Wisconsin, Town of Preston. I think you can go ahead. You go.
There will be a public meeting before the Trumbull County Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in the County Boardroom of the Courthouse, 36245 Main Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin. The purpose is a land use change rezone from exclusive Ag 2, EA2 to residential 8 on approximately 14 acres more or less to create a residential lot located in the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter, all in Section 29, Town 21 North, Range 7 West, Town of Preston, Trumbull County, Wisconsin. Hearing is requested by Curtis D. and Charlotte M. Beck, Blair, Wisconsin, landowner petitioner. Trumbull County invites you to join this meeting as follows. To provide public comment on these hearings, please call 715-538-1770. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Verge Gamroth with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916 or email verge.gamroth@county.trempealeau.wisconsin, US. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit written comment, please send your written comment to the Department of Land Management, P.O. Box 67, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to vergegamroth@county.trempealeau.wisconsin.us. Please know that the written comments will be read at the public hearing up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author and the request that the letter be read at a particular meeting date. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to meeting date by calling Verge of the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916. Sincerely, Verge Gamreth.
Thank you, Randy. Verge, do you have any overview you can give us?
Okay. I would like to introduce Tracy and Curtis Beck. Do you want them to come sit over here?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
They would like to rezone a piece of land from EA2 to R8 for the purpose of creating a extra residential lot or separate residential lot, because they would like to sell Tracy some land. If you refer to the aerial photo behind us, that is the property that we're discussing. Since there's less than 70 acres there, the density, the zoning density of EA2 is 1 per 35. So in order to split this without a rezone, they would need at least 70 acres. Therefore, to create the split, they have to go to a higher density of zoning, which we agreed would be R8. Joe, the county surveyor, has looked at the preliminary survey, and he recommended that zoning density along with myself. This was published in the paper 2 consecutive weeks, 10 days prior to the hearing, on June 15th and June 22nd. We sent letters to all the adjoining landowners, and I received no correspondence for or against. I do have a letter from the town of Preston, which I'll read into the record later. And the land use plan is exclusive Ag 2. So this, if approved, this would be contrary to the land use plan. That's all I have.
Okay. If anyone wishes to comment or offer public comment to this, they can call 715-538-1770. Is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I just want her to have a place to build a house.
Sure. Okay. Is there anyone out there that would like to offer any public comment on this? You can call in at 715-538-1770. Do you have a letter from the town, Verge, you could read?
It's dated May 12th, 2022. The Town of Preston Board of Supervisors were informed of the Beck's family request to rezone from agricultural to residential on Wall Lane. The Town of Preston Board of Supervisors passed a motion at their May 9th, 2022 board meeting stating that they are in favor of this request. The vote was 3-0 in favor of this motion. Sincerely, Kathy Nelson, Town of Preston Clerk.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to offer any public comment on this rezone from EA2 to R8? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing at 8:36 and entertain a motion from the committee.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve, Kit Klein. Second, Todd. Any discussion from the committee? Questions for the Becks?
I have some clarification. What was the total acreage you listed?
It's about 14 acres.
14, okay.
Is that by the certified survey map, or is that the square that's on the board?
No.
The square.
No.
So that would include the loop here off the road here?
Well, see, if he would have sold her this whole piece, then he wouldn't have had to rezone. But he wants to keep this piece right here, up here. So he's basically gonna sell her this piece, or whatever was on your map. 2.3 acres.
2.3 acres, okay, because then there's another 1.9 or whatever listed below that. So it's the loop or whatever, not the square is what he's doing. And then part of?
Whatever
according
is
to-
on your map.
Whatever's on the map. So it does include part of that square then too, right? Or is it just from the dotted line? Because, yeah, here's the loop. Does it almost include some of this? I mean, they've got enough road frontage there, so that's not the problem.
Yeah, they have to rezone this whole thing, but he's only selling her this piece right here.
Okay.
The rezone goes up to the road.
The rezone goes, yeah, they have to rezone the whole thing.
Okay, because I mean, the survey map is just deceiving compared to what we're being explained
Right,
here.
And that needs to be.
Updated. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
That was just a preliminary.
Okay.
But yeah, they're rezoning this whole piece in order to make that small.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I can still farm it, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Certain things in the farming operation, though, would require a conditional use permit after this change, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Like building a shed for machinery or something like that?
Well, not
Or I don't-
necessarily that, but like we had the ones in the town of Preston where they wanted to put some horses or cattle or
Mhm.
whatever, that would require, a conditional use permit for that. Or. you know,
For the additional
farming.
acres, not the acreage for the house?
Yeah, you're correct though, yes.
Allergic to horses.
I am also.
We may be going to that with the price of gas.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion from the committee on this rezone?
A little partial joke, you're probably old enough to remember driving horses too, and they weren't that much fun. Yep.
I got stepped on those.
If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving this rezone, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations. We will go to full board on, we'll make it July here?
Yes.
Yeah, July 18th, and for final approval. And you do not need to be there, but if you'd like to, you sure can. So,
I'll be there.
okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. Next, item 7, our discussion continues on landlocked parcels and road frontage requirements. For discussion, possible action, Mike?
This is the ordinance revision language I received from Corporation Counsel. I think it mostly addresses, I got this yesterday, so I haven't had an opportunity to ask a few questions of Rick. But I think it addresses most of the issues brought up regarding lots behind railroad rights-of-way without any other opportunity to have public road frontage. Probably one thing here that is kind of new, and I guess I'm going to have a question for Rick in this. Normally, when we have a lot split, we just approve that administratively. If it meets our standards, we approve it. In this sections C and D, it has this a split under section B coming to this committee for approval. So that would be an extra step in the process. It would have to get on an agenda. I'm not so sure from the staff perspective, we think that's necessary, but Rick may have a reason for that. Oh, so here
There
he is. So maybe he
Good
can.
timing, Rick.
Maybe he can comment on that.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. Sorry.
Welcome. Impeccable timing.
Yes, it worked well. Should have been watching closer. All right, so I assume this is about the ordinance?
Yes, we're just beginning our discussion.
Okay. So what, did you hand out what I?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
okay.
The one thing I did had, and again, I wasn't sure, I had the regular for
Oh.
road frontage remain at 100.
Yep, no, that should be. So this was just something I put together as a starting point for a conversation to discuss how this is going to look going forward. And so for this committee to consider and ask questions and or propose any changes that might need to be made to it before it goes in for final approval. I think that just a refresher, so I think the last time that there was a discussion about this, there were some concerns raised by certain individuals about whether or not they would be allowed to sell certain parcels of property or create certain parcels of property that were located just beyond the railroad. When Mike and I met and talked about this, he had brought up too that there might be some that are impacted by the state trails. We said the Buffalo and the
Great River
Great
Road
River.
Trail.
So that language was put in there as well too, just as something that might come up as well, so.
One of the things I brought up was section C and D, bringing it back to the committee for approval. A normal lot split gets approved administratively, so I don't know if there's a requirement for that or.
Nope, and really, this is up to the committee and the department to decide how they want to make it work or how they want to see it work. This was just a suggestion because there are considerations as to things that need to be considered in regards to why this would happen or under what circumstances. So this was just a suggestion, but it can be done however you want to do it, so.
This is the first time I've looked at it, so I haven't really ruminated a lot. But item 1, proof of the land considered as zoned agricultural. With that statement being made, would we want to, or possibly would that be why we're looking at item C, to keep that parcel from asking to be rezoned into some kind of a development or anything like that?
My thought is, there's different ways to go about this. This addresses splits. If someone were to come in and say, I'm going to rezone 40 acres behind a railroad, that would be a different process than this. But then, of course, when they would come back again to do the split, then that's when this would kick in. So there's always ways around, and I think the reasons for having that agricultural zoning is let's say someone did come back and say R8, then they couldn't they could rezone it to a residential development, but then, so it really, that requirement does protect and disincentivize people from rezoning it to a development. And I think almost every acreage of property behind a railroad is zoned either exclusive ag. There could be some primary ag zones out there, which is 20 acres per lot. But that's the whole idea behind that, is to protect it.
And I probably should make it, or we should make it clear as well, this doesn't solve the issue of the crossing of the railroad or the crossing of the trail. They still have to deal with that separately, but at least this gives them an option that is not prohibited if they don't have that frontage. It gives them, but they'll still have to deal with that issue on their own, like dealing with the railroad and getting that permit for the crossing type of a thing. So this doesn't resolve that, but there's quite frankly nothing we can do about it because that's the railroad's.
It's not our,
Right.
But would that not be part of our condition? That they have to get approval or denial, or it be known at the time of that sale that this is a condition that may or may not go through?
Problem, I think, is if they do it as an easement, I don't know that they can get the crossing approval with an easement only. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it has to be land ownership. So they're being allowed to do this with an easement, so then that would be, they may not ever be able to do that.
Well, that was my question of the 66 feet within a highway. Is that the width, frontage width, or is that you got to be the distance of, because 66 feet is the state regulations from the center line, correct?
Correct.
That they have to expand or whatever. So it must butt up or adjoin that in order to be approved then?
Correct.
Okay.
There needs to be some form of either ownership or easement of 66 feet that connects to whatever parcel they're trying to divide on the other side of the railroad. It's just that piece crossing the railroad is going to be, and making that, because again, too, if it's going to be something that's being sold, and if they need to do this before they sell it, my understanding is that only an owner can request permission to cross the railroad, and so they won't be able to do that until after the fact. So I guess my thought process is that hopefully a prospective buyer knows that and is willing to take that risk, but that would be on them to do that type of thing, so.
I just have a question. Do we know that landowners have been able to change a permit crossing to an actual easement with the railroad?
I don't know that for sure, for certain. I don't.
This certainly would what it allows is it allows someone to split some land behind the railroad without having actual property frontage. Whether or not that railroad crossing license gets applied, at least we're not being the barrier at that case, it's the railroad.
Yeah.
And so when we deal with kind of, probably where we would deal with this a lot is at the staff level, at the counter, with people letting them know that, hey, you know, this is a unknown thing that you're taking a risk on, and we can't do anything about that.
And these changes would change in the situations where you don't have the issue with railroad. Right now, our ordinance does require 100 feet of road frontage. Now, this would change it to 66. After discussions with Mike, we just thought we'd make it uniform, but again, the committee can keep it at 100 if you want, but 66 is the minimum that the statute would allow, so. At least for an easement anyhow, so.
Other questions, comments from the committee?
Do we got to state the type of easement that would transfer? Because some easements are null and void at the time of sale, correct?
They are, and we can get more specific on that. I know I had in there that it needed to be a recorded easement, but that may not necessarily answer that specific issue, so we can get more specific on the type of easement as well, language.
Well, I mean, basically, whereas what we're here for is to protect the potential buyer of, that's our job, correct? Or what we're trying to do or prevent?
We're trying to prevent, so you're right, so we don't want an easement that's going to go away eventually because we still want to have that access to that parcel that's being created. So, yeah, our goal is to make sure that that easement doesn't go away. Yeah.
What's the committee's thoughts on having a subdivision like this brought to the committee for approval? Would you rather see that done at the staff level, or would you like to see these at the committee?
Myself, at this stage, I'd like to see it come back to the committee, at least initially, till we're seeing how this is working out, good, bad, or indifferent. And then if it seems to all be working smooth, it could always be passed back to the administration later.
Yeah, I can agree with you, because I also don't expect this, you guys aren't gonna be overwhelmed with these in my best estimation. So if we have to deal with one a year, I don't think it's that big a deal personally, but. Okay, any other questions, comments? So at this point, our next step would be maybe final revisions.
Final revisions, and then for the August meeting, and then if you're good with that, then we would put it for a public hearing after that.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or we'll move on and keep working?
Sounds good.
Hearing none, I think we're gonna
Perfect, yeah.
keep going. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate it. It's not quiet up here today.
Yeah.
Next, we have a report from our county conservationist, Charmaine.
Our last few projects for 2022 are getting bid out, and we have designs done for all of the projects. Construction will be ramping up, and we are waiting for DNR permitting and contractors to start. We are also looking for more 2023 projects. If you or someone you know has erosion issues, barnyard, or water issues, please contact Haley at 715-538-1917. We are also working on reclamation issues on 3 frac sand mines, and this week we will start organizing mine inspections. For nutrient management numbers for this year, we have 82 plans and 52,544 acres, and both numbers are up from last year. We also have 110 landowners for the operations and maintenance plans, and we are conducting periodic maintenance checks. The tree and shrub program, we just wrapped it up, and we are now getting started on contacting the nurseries.
Getting ready for next year already.
Yep.
Yeah, that tree and shrub program, you know, if you're not behind the scenes, it starts in July, and we actually in 2022 we finished up in early May, so it's
A year-round.
almost a year-round program. And one thing that it's not official yet, But one of the challenges is in our, in selling the trees and to the inventory we have. We're working with the IT department, and it's looking like we may have an online shopping page for tree and shrubs. So when you go to, say,
Very cool.
tamarack trees, you'll see, oh, there's only 10 left, 10 bundles left. There's enough for me to order, because one of the things we ran into is people would order, and then we were out, and then we'd have to do refunds or send a check back and get a new check, and so ITs have been really kind of very customer service oriented in working with us to have something that really helps serve our citizens. So I think in 2023 we're going to have a much smoother operation. So those are the kinds of things that
Cool.
we're just trying to find efficiencies and be customer service oriented.
Tony?
How many projects are on the books or being worked on this year and for next year? I mean, half a dozen or 4 or?
That's a good question. Michael, you don't answer that?
I'm trying to get in my head. I think we're probably around in 2022, we're probably about a dozen. Plus we have, those are conservation projects, and of course we have some other things. We have an NOD project out there. But I think we're about a dozen for this year, and we'll probably be getting some information on cover crop programs. Probably getting that information out in the next month or two, and we're also going to be looking at our department newsletter. Last year we did a newsletter out to every property owner in the county, and that got pretty good reviews. So we're going to look at potentially doing that again, and that'll be a way. We're going to try to get that out earlier so we can get some information out to people in a more timely manner.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Next, we have discussion, possible action on updating Department of Land Management financial account authorizations.
We do have a checking account, and that money came from DATCAP, so we're able to use that for conservation information and education. And so we still have the former chairman on that, so we're looking for a motion to remove George Brandt from the account and add Kellen Nelson. It is typical that the department director and the committee chair have signing privileges on that account. So if someone can make a motion to.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Three-party signature checks or whatever, or just 2? Like at our town association, we got the clerk, the treasurer, and the chairman sign them. So is it just you two? I mean, the chair and the director have authorization?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. And I've been told we have no cost share payments for this month. So we will move on to item 11, our Department of Land Management Director Operations Report.
2023 budget season is here. So in July, I'm working with Becky on that. Also working closely with Reed on the parks budget and Dave on the economic development budget. So associated with the Department of Land Management, we have 3 budgets. That's the DLM budget, economic development, and then parks. So, and then of course, just the DLM one comes through this committee, but there's a lot of different pieces in there. It gives you guys some context on that. So we'll be working on that. We have a tentative solar study committee on August 25th. So hopefully, we've had some scheduling challenges there, so hopefully it'll happen on that date. On the on the flip side, this is a little bit more PTED, but when I get a chance to speak to supervisors, I like to kind of let them know on a few things. It is the 50th anniversary of Petrick Park in 2022, and PTED and DLM and Parks, we're planning on a celebration on September 24th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the park. There'll be activities for kids, there'll be a formal program, there'll be some food, and so look for details on that, but I would encourage you to reserve that date. Bring your family, bring friends, and we're going to celebrate 50 years of Petrick Park and talk a little bit about the next 50 years with our master plan and the to-be-created Friends of Petrick Park group. So,
Very good.
that's all I have. Any questions? 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we're going to take, we have some youth education things that we can have that we usually use when we do a day camp. So we're going to have like our groundwater model. We have some wildlife scat models that we can use with the kids, and some other things that we're going to pull out. So there'll be some fun things. That's fun to learn about that, but there'll be some real educational things too. So it should be a really good time.
Very good. Yeah, mark your calendars, September 24th from 3 to 7 at Petrick Park. Next, we have item 12, future agenda items. Anything we'd like to add from the committee or director?
We have more of that road frontage stuff, and I don't think we have necessarily any ordinance language at this time.
Okay.
Anything else, though?
Is there anything on the remodel that we
Oh, yeah.
were discussing?
Yeah, just want to let you guys know that with the remodel, I'm keeping in touch with the property committee. And so there might be something down the line, but just want to let you guys know that we're still, haven't heard much from Samuel's group on where I guess tentatively we're going to be in the sheriff's department, but we're trying to, there's some issues with the layout, and I'm trying to work with them and get that communicated. There's different levels of expectations from my predecessor. There's just trying to make sure that we have a place to work, because when the building punches through Becky's and Dave's office, where are they going to work? And when people are moving around, are they going to need to work from home? Where do they go?
Some logistics to figure out.
So that's one of the things that's high on my priority list, is keeping in touch with property and exec finance on where are we going to work up.
When is that timeline expectation or whatever?
I guess it said fall 2023, so coming up on a little over a year. Of course, there's a lot of people moving around, and I did get a tour of the sheriff's office. Lighting issues. There's not a window in the office space, and it's old, decades old fluorescent lighting. It's a little creepy in there. So definitely LED lighting is going to have to be an issue. The other thing is paint can make a big difference in a workplace. We even see in our hospitals and our clinics, it's not just white anymore, it's warm colors. So stuff like that can make a big difference, and that's not a high cost item, but it makes a big difference. So we look forward to working with Samuel's group and Venture Architects, I think, but we just need to kind of get that ball rolling, and I think there's a meeting coming up on Monday on the financing piece. But I definitely have concern on where will DLM employees be working in the transition on this.
Something we'll keep communicating or start the discussion anyway here, so. Any other future agenda items you'd like us to?
Question, does this department have any obligation, interest in the carbon sequestration? Is that anything for this committee to talk about, offer advice to people, or is that out of the realm of this responsibility?
I missed that. What
The
was?
carbon sequestration and credits and all that, is that something this department should have a look at, a handle on, or is this not part of, and offering advice or having information available, any of that sort of thing on that?
We could go, we could be a part of that, certainly. We've been focusing on a little bit on our core functions at this time.
Okay.
But it's probably something over the next year we can spend some time taking a look at.
I think that'd be a fair timeline. Like,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, our next meeting date is August 3rd, if that works for everyone. And I think we can, does the 8:30 timeframe work okay for everybody? I think we'll stick with that. So next meeting, August 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And with no other items, I will adjourn at 9:05. Thank you, everyone.